Good evening. As you know, this is another of Sustainable Claremont Sustainability Dialogues. I'm Freeman Allen, and this I would like to announce what the next dialogue will be before we start this one. On July 15th, for once, unusually, we're going to have two dialogues in 1 month, but that's going to be a question of can Claremont's Village South development achieve net zero energy. As you may know, the Village South project is 17 acres just below the railroad tracks, and we hope that can be a model of sustainability. And Dick Haskell, with a crew from Harvey Mudd College, has been doing research on the potential to have it net zero energy. And that's going to be the dialogue on Monday, July 15th. Now, for today's dialogue, it will be an update on the Clean Power Alliance. And as I'm sure you remember, the Clean Power Alliance is an alternate to getting energy from Southern California Edison, where there are options that may permit higher percentages of clean energy. Actually, you have those options in both Southern California Edison and in the Alliance, but the Alliance consists of presently 31 communities, and Jennifer Ward is going to tell us about what the arrangement is and how that's been going. Jennifer is a graduate of Claremont and McKenna College some 9 years ago, was it? She majored in environmental analysis, and I'm going to read you a little bit about her, which was posted on the Clean Power Alliance website. Jennifer is Director of External Affairs for the Clean Power Alliance, responsible for liaising with organizations, 31 unique member jurisdictions across Southern California. Jennifer brings 9 years of experience leading public affairs and sustainability policy for local governments. Skilled in community relations and communications, clean energy, legislation, sustainable urban and public health policy, Jennifer previously worked on regional planning issues for 18 jurisdictions in Riverside County, serving as Director of Governmental Relations for the Western Riverside Council of Governments. Wow.
Lots of government bureaucratic jargon for you.
Her private nonprofit experience includes serving on the board and chairing the Inland Empire chapter of the U.S. Green Building Council. And as I've already said, she's a graduate of Claremont and McKenna College, so I'm going to turn it over to Jennifer. Oh, one more thing. After her presentation, we'll have questions and answers with the audience, and Dick Haskell will carry this microphone around. And since we're recording this, if you would wait to make a statement until you get the microphone in front of your face, that will make it easier for to put the video together in an understandable way. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jennifer. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you. Can you hear me okay? Great. All right. Just gonna get out of the... All right. So, thank you all for having me this evening. Again, my name's Jennifer. I'm with the Clean Power Alliance, which is the new community choice energy program for Claremont, the community here in Claremont, along with 30 other communities in LA County and Ventura County. Officially, Clean Power Alliance formed about 2 years ago. Actually, just this weekend was our second birthday. But we've really been fully up and running and serving energy supply to customers, which I'll talk a little bit about since for Claremont, since February of this year. So very relatively new organization to the energy supply side of things here in Southern California. I was here about a couple months ago at Sustainable Claremont, but I want to just kind of give a recap on how Clean Power Alliance works and what our service is, and our options for customers, let you know how our launch has been going now that we're fully up and running in the community, and then also tell you about a couple of the exciting things on the horizon for Clean Power Alliance, some of which are ready for residents and businesses here in the community to start engaging on. So I was also going to say I brought with me some materials that are geared towards businesses, but if you don't have a business or don't know a business, it's still good information that I have a pile of here, and you're welcome to pass them out if you would like. So, just as a recap, Clean Power Alliance is the energy supply piece of your picture. So a big common misconception that we hear a lot when we first started was, are you replacing Edison? Are you a whole new utility? And the answer is no, it's a partnership. So Clean Power Alliance is now the purchaser of energy we purchase energy on the market, and we provide or sell that power to customers through Edison's existing infrastructure. So they continue to maintain the lines and wires. They send you your bill every month, hopefully. They are responsible for starting new service for customers who maybe move to Claremont and you want to call up and create a new electric account. You still do that through Southern California Edison. And then really the whole point of Community Choice Energy and why it was formed in the early 2000s and why it's grown to such popularity over the last 10 years is that choice for customers. So you as a customer now have a choice in your energy supply and how green your energy is, what you pay for it, that you didn't have before. Before, Southern California Edison was your only option for energy supply. So that community choice aspect is where that competition comes in. So we are now a competitor on the energy supply piece of the picture, which helps drive down prices. So you as a customer also have some ability for savings now. And again, it's a choice that didn't exist before. So again, we cover 31 jurisdictions. You can see because we have the unincorporated LAs, the unincorporated communities in LA and Ventura County, it's a very big area that we cover. So we have 1 million customers across these 31 jurisdictions. And this 1 million customer accounts represents about 3 million people and businesses. So we're now actually the largest supplier of electricity, or the 5th largest supplier of electricity here in the state of California. And in terms of how many customers we serve 100% renewable energy to, we're the largest in the nation to do that. So just to give you an idea of the timeline, back last year, we kind of rolled out service to a couple pilot communities, South Pasadena, Rolling Hills Estates, and LA County. Here in Claremont, all residents were automatically enrolled in Clean Power Alliance in February, and then we just concluded our service launch in May, enrolling all businesses, industrial customers, ag customers, any non-residential customer was automatically enrolled in Clean Power Alliance in May. So that's also, I'll just pause here and kind of explain one of the other functional, operational aspects about Clean Power Alliance, but any community choice program, it is an automatic enrollment program. So when the city of Claremont and the other 30 cities and counties decided to join Clean Power Alliance, that means that eligible residents and businesses in the communities would be automatically enrolled in our energy supply service, and then you as the customer can choose to stay in that service, benefit from the higher mix of renewable options that we have, or the utility bill saving options that we have, or you can opt back to Edison. So it is an automatic enrollment process. I know you probably heard a lot in the community that is that's a frustrating aspect of community choice aggregation. A lot of people don't like being signed up for something, but that is how, being signed up for something that you didn't know maybe was going on or that you didn't ask for, and then being given the option to leave it. That is how community choice aggregation is mandated to function by the state of California. The city didn't make that decision. Clean Power Alliance's board didn't make that decision. It's just how these programs are designed to work by state law. But again, we tried really hard over the last 4 months to get the word out to residents, to businesses. We did a ton of events. We've sent 4 pieces of mail at least to all customers, both residential and business customers. So we've hopefully had everyone who is, interested in this or paying attention know that they've been enrolled in Clean Power Alliance service. And then just as a refresher here in Claremont, your default, which is the level of renewables that you're enrolled in, is clean power. So our 3 renewable options are lean, clean, 100% green. We're very excited they rhyme. I'm just not going to say it, but it was my idea. And our lean power is 36% renewable energy, which is the same level of renewables as Edison provides, but ours provides a 1 to 2% discount. So same amount of renewables, cheaper price for the customer on your overall bill. Our clean power, which is the starting point for Claremont residents and businesses, is 50% renewable energy at the same cost as what you would pay to Edison. So significantly more green energy in your mix of power, what we're procuring for our customers, but at the same price, so no cost difference on your overall bill. And then our 100% green power, 100% renewable energy, and that comes at a 9% premium. So, nearly 70% more renewable energy, but only 9% higher in cost. And one thing that our board made sure to really be cognizant of throughout this whole launch was for any customers who are in protected classes, who are on financial assistance programs, which you can qualify based on income, your participation in other public assistance programs, such as Medicare, they made sure that these customers wouldn't be adversely impacted in terms of finance. So if these customers were opted in at one of the higher rates, we kept their bills at the same price as what they were previously paying, and these customers who are on the most common financial assistance programs, which are CARE, FARA, and Medical Baseline, continue to receive their discount. You don't have to reapply or re-enroll in them. And this is true of a lot of other programs. These are just the ones we like to highlight. But there's a lot of programs that customers are on, like a summer discount plan, that you continue to stay enrolled in. If you're on net energy metering, you continue to stay enrolled in those programs. It's that energy supply where your power is coming from that switches on your Edison bill. So just to give you a status update, I showed a very similar slide with a lot of boring numbers on it at the last meeting, so don't feel like you have to absorb all of this, but I just want to give you the highlights. So like I said, we launched to all residents in February, and as of now, all businesses and non-residential customers in Claremont are automatically enrolled. And since you started in February, you've had 1/3% of customers opt up to your 100% green level. You've had about 1.5% opt down to the lean power level, and you've had about 6% of customers opt out, which is slightly higher than average, but really in the middle of the pack when you look at the entire service territory in Clean Power Alliance. And the reason we like to show all these numbers is really just to show you that of the over 13,000 customers here in Claremont, there's a lot of engagement. A lot of customers are exercising their choice. Claremont is at the 50% default, which really has no impact financially on the bill. So a lot of customers don't notice that as much, whereas a customer in a 100% green community might be like, why did my bill go up a little bit? And it causes them to look more into it. But even with the rate parity in Claremont, a lot of customers still are calling our service center, going online to make their choice. And then I just wanted to highlight some of the kind of diverse aspects of our service territory here on the slide. And this is a teaser. I'm going to talk a little bit more about some of the local community programs we're going to be rolling out. But in addition to a lot of the customers we have in disadvantaged communities and on financial assistance programs, we've also started to engage more with our student population. And we're rolling out a scholarship program this year to STEM students at community colleges. That was actually funded by one of our Renewable developers, funded this scholarship program for us. So that's kind of a snapshot of where we are in terms of the service. Does anyone have any questions on the service that we provide or the status here in Claremont? Yes, you and then you. I think we have a microphone for you.
I have some solar cells, it doesn't completely cover me, but when I got it with Edison, they didn't charge me for the electricity until the end of the year. Then when CPA came, I was told, I thought, that you were going to charge me monthly, but I'm not getting charged monthly, and I tried to pay monthly, and then I kind of messed up the whole billing system. So I'm wondering what's going on.
Sure. So for solar customers, there is, while you do stay enrolled in net energy metering, the way in which we do the accounting is a little different than the way in which Edison did it. So like you said, Edison would take all of your credits and generation for your solar usage and add it up and calculate it out at the end of the year and assess you a charge if you used more, or surplus if you generated more. And what Clean Power Alliance does is just sort of true up that accounting on a monthly basis. You still have an annual kind of assessment at the end of the year to see if you've overgenerated or undergenerated, but we kind of just do a check-in every month and level it off, whereas Edison would just sort of leave it to the end of the 12-month period. And there's pros and cons. Some people really prefer it this way because then you don't get hit with a big bill at the end of the year. It kind of evens it out throughout the year. But the long story short is you're not losing or gaining anything extra by the way we're doing it, or losing credits. It's just kind of a different timing of the accounting. And then on the plus side, at the end of the year, if you are someone with solar who does over-generate and you get a surplus credit from Edison, CPA, or Clean Power Alliance, pays our net surplus compensation to customers at a rate that's 10% higher. If you're talking about your solar accounting, that's how it works. Now, if you're a customer who hasn't gotten any bill in the last couple months, that is a different issue, and it's something that is impacting a couple customers right now. They're getting their bills that are delayed or they're not complete from Edison, and that's an Edison billing IT issue that we're actually working with them on. So you might have heard that it's not impacting all of our customers, it's impacting just a small component, but that could be something that's impacting you. And I'm happy to talk to you about it afterwards.
Betsy, is that your situation? You got solar and you haven't gotten a bill?
At all? Or? Okay, so it's just the change in the accounting.
I have solar, but I haven't gotten a bill, and so I'm sort of thinking there may be a connection here.
Yeah, we have heard that from a handful of customers, and from Edison, that Edison's experiencing some billing issues in their IT system. It's not just impacting Clean Power Alliance, it's impacting a lot of any CCA customer across Southern California. So, and like I said, we're working with them, but there's whatever the IT issue is, it's causing some customers to not receive a bill, and so those will be rebilled when they catch up, unfortunately. Yes?
Hi, I was wondering if you could remind us how the different communities selected what categories they would have. So Claremont has 50% renewable as the medium category, and those vary across communities, correct? So I'm just curious if you could remind us how those decisions were made and how you're seeing that play out in terms of people enrolling, and also if there will be changes in that in the future? Yeah,
absolutely. So each city, when they decided, the city council had to vote to join Clean Power Alliance for Claremont and for all of our communities. So that was like their first decision. And then their second decision was when they voted to join, they had to, a couple months later, once we had our rate options and our pricing established, the cities, by a vote of the city council typically, had to decide what they wanted the starting point for residents. Because Clean Power Alliance is automatic enrollment, we had to put these customers on one of our 3 rate options to start with, and we gave the communities that ability to choose and to set that starting point. So Claremont was like most of our jurisdictions, the majority of them selected the Clean Power rate option because it was that no additional financial impact, but a lot higher renewable. So it was a way to sort of advance the renewable goal without sacrificing on the economic side. We did have 10 jurisdictions opt in for the default at 100%, which was also, a great step towards greening the power mix. And, we have seen more customers opt down in those jurisdictions, as you might expect, but we've so far, it's been very successful in those communities. And then we also had 8 cities start at the lean power just to kind of see how it goes, and cities do have the opportunity to change that default for the community in the future. So some of the ones at Lean Power are looking at doing that. Yeah.
On behalf of my senior community, I have 3 questions, not just mine. First, our people are having trouble with the bills from SCE, understanding if there's another number for the green power plan other than the number of the SCE account, and if so, how the bill reflects somehow what's happening at this level of the energy provision. Can you just explain that? Do you have in your slide presentation, for instance, a bill that shows how you know what's happening because of the SCE bill?
Yeah, I don't have it in the slides because it's a little hard to see on the screen, but I actually do have a bunch of sample bills that I'll make sure to pass out before the end of the session. And the best way to think about it is your bill is, in a simple way, divided up into transmission and delivery charges on the top half and energy supply or generation charges on the bottom half. You used to say Southern California Edison for both of those halves, and now your whole bill still comes from SCE. It's your SCE account number. Your transmission and delivery charges are still shown as being charged by Southern California Edison, and then your energy supply charges say Clean Power Alliance. And so, you don't pay that, you don't pay separate checks or however you do your payment to each entity. It comes still on one bill, but you can see that your supplier generation is now being billed to Clean Power Alliance or charged by Clean Power Alliance. So we're really just kind of replacing that section that you used to pay to Southern California Edison.
And if you wanted to change your choice here,
Yes.
you don't do that through SCE. You have to do that through the Clean Power Alliance
Yes.
website or something?
Exactly. So if you want to change between Clean Power Alliance's 3 options, you can go on our website, you can call our customer service line, which is also on our website. It's on the bill in the Clean Power Alliance section. Our number is listed there, and I'll show you that on the sample. And then you can also send them an email as well, our customer service center an email.
And your account number is your SCE number,
Yep.
or is it?
Nope. Yeah, you keep your same account.
It's only one account number then.
So you have a customer account number that's kind of like your overall account number. And then if you're a person who has multiple properties, you would have different service accounts. But yes, for residents, you typically have one account number.
All right, and last question,
Yeah.
thank you. We have some people in our community who have previously signed up with renewable energy programs. We once had the PAIR program, then it was bought out, I think it's Arcadia.
Mm-hmm.
And if they didn't do anything, were they switched to the Clean Power program out of Arcadia, let's say, or are they still in that alternative renewable energy program?
It depends. So there's a couple instances that would make a customer not be automatically enrolled. Most likely they were automatically enrolled in Clean Power Alliance. If you were a customer who had a certain type of contract with another energy provider that had already kind of removed you from Edison in terms of the supply portion of your bill, then you wouldn't have been enrolled in us, but that's not super common. So if you were on a direct access program is sometimes what they call it. But that our customer service center can look up those kinds of issues or sort of unique circumstances for customers if they call in and give the customer service center.
And that would go to you, not SCE. That
Yeah.
question would go to you, not SCE.
It could go to either because
Here?
if they have already been sort of opted out of either of our service and are with a third party, then we'd probably both give the same information, which would be to talk to that third party, but we would both be able to tell if they were a customer of Clean Power Alliance or of Edison.
All right, thank you very much.
Yeah. Great. So some of the things that we have coming up that are kind of more in the bigger picture. So yes, CCAs like Clean Power Alliance have a direct customer impact now. I mean, this is something that, until I started this job, I never looked at my electric bill. I was on auto pay every month, but this is something that now is kind of forcing customers to look at their electricity bills, think about how these things work, think about what they're paying for electricity, be more conscious in being more energy efficient. So in a way, this transition is very challenging. Any CCA that's launched in California, which is almost 20 now, have had these challenges, customers being a little confused. But if you kind of step back from that service that we're now providing customers and this change that customers are experiencing, CCAs are also doing a lot in terms of contributing to the state's overall sustainability goals and to their renewable energy mandates for the state of California. So Clean Power Alliance, as a big purchaser of power now, because of the aggregated demand from all of our customers participating, is actually now has some market influence. We're able to tell the market here in California, we need more renewables to be developed in California, and that's contributing to a greener electricity grid, to more renewables being developed, to more jobs going to these types of industries. And so this is just a couple that I wanted to highlight. We started what's called a long-term request for clean energy development. So we put out a request for offers that signals to the developers in California, we have an increasing demand for greener energy as more of our customers pick that 100% green power option. And so some of the responses that we've had have led to us entering into long-term contracts for new renewables. So this is a wind project that we recently invested in late last year. We bought 6 wind turbines up in the Tehachapi area. And then we have 3 more projects that were just approved last week, actually. And let's see. We have a small hydroelectric project in in Kern County. We have a solar project we've contracted with in Riverside County, and another solar plus battery storage project in Kern County as well. So each of these are just kind of a sampling of the projects and the long-term new steel in the ground, new renewable development that Clean Power Alliance is going to be starting to spur in the state of California. And if you can ignore all of the wonky text on this slide and just look at these last 2, because of these investments in renewable development and because of the choices our customers and our cities are making to choose the 50% renewable option and the 100% renewable option, Clean Power Alliance's portfolio is already about 60% renewable overall, which is the state's goal for renewables or mandate for renewables, but to meet it in 2035. And so we've already met that goal for renewable procurement about 11 or 10 years ahead of schedule. And then I think I mentioned this earlier, with our million customers, we now serve more customers on 100% renewable than any other electricity provider in the nation. Yes.
Maybe I misheard or you misspoke. I think you said 2035. Did you mean 2030?
Yes, yeah, 2030 is the
2030,
SB 100 goal.
11 or
Yes,
12, okay.
yeah, thank you. True professor. No, it's okay. It's keeping me accurate. I appreciate it. So kind of the last thing I wanted to provide an update on for you all is something that's going to be really important to all of our customers is as we become established as an energy provider now here in the community, we want to also offer programs. So I mentioned that a lot of customer programs Edison offers you continue to be able to take advantage of those programs. But we, Clean Power Alliance, are also going to be developing our own programs, whether it's incentives for electric vehicles, facilitating community solar projects, facilitating bill financing. There's a whole host of different types of programs or incentives and rebates that our customers can have more advantage or to take advantage of above and beyond what Edison offers. And this is something that CCAs across the state have rolled out to their customers. And so, like I said, we're at the very early stages of kind of thinking about what those customer programs would be. But some of the goals we're trying to address are, a lot of the usual suspects, but improving air quality and public health, really spurring electrification, especially in our cars and our buildings, addressing underserved populations, which doesn't necessarily mean low income. It means a lot of customer segments or population segments that have had a hard time participating in some of these other programs, like renters, for example. It's really hard for a renter to have an EV because they don't have any control over their building or their home where you could put a charger. And so looking at some of those challenges that our customer base faces and trying to come up with creative ways to use this entity that we've formed to offer some of those benefits. So to that, we have a survey online that is available in English, Spanish, and Chinese in case you're feeling international. But we have this survey that is kind of asks a series of simple questions, and I have a snapshot of these. So it kind of asks us a sample of questions, and this is our very first effort to really hear from our customer base of what are the challenges you face in your community. I've already heard some today, like this gentleman spoke about some of the challenges in the senior community, and so we'll get this survey link out for you all to take a look at or share with your networks. But based on this feedback that we're collecting over the next couple months, Clean Power Alliance's board will be starting to determine how we use some of our ratepayer dollars to invest in some of these new programs. Any questions on that local programs process? It's a very hard concept to explain when you don't have any programs yet, because everyone, their first question is, well, like, what is a local program, or what are you going to offer? And it's sort of like there's a lot of answers to that question, some of which I already mentioned, but essentially think of it like a rebate or an incentive or something to voluntarily enroll in to take advantage of an energy efficiency upgrade in your home or in your vehicle, or a community-wide program like community solar, which is where you build solar in a community, and rather than a customer having to put solar on their own home, they can kind of buy into this community solar project to take advantage of that green rate. So like I said, yes?
Can I ask a question? Yeah. This is one point I think a number of us have some, just wrestling with how this is going to play out. And I can imagine that there are two ways that these incentive programs or just general programs that CPA could generate would work, and that is either CPA determines what those programs will be, and they will be generally the same for all participating cities. The other way is to say, okay, we have a certain amount of funding for these programs, and you as a particular city might be entitled to a certain amount of that. And so we'll give you this funding if you can convince us you have a worthy program.
Yeah.
So, or some combination thereof. It could be very complicated.
Yeah, I think the combination side, that's a great question. One of, again, the benefits and why so many cities joined Clean Power Alliance or these types of programs is the city is now at the table making these determinations. So my board, Clean Power Alliance's board, is comprised of an elected official from each of our 30 cities, including the mayor here in Claremont. And so those policymakers are the ones deciding where our funding goes to and what types of programs we offer, where the alternative with Southern California Edison is often most decided by the Public Utilities Commission up in San Francisco, which governs all utility provision in California. And so you do have a much stronger voice. The city of Claremont gets the same vote as the county of Los Angeles in Clean Power Alliance. It's an equal vote. And so that discussion, exactly that question you posed, is something our board's going to be discussing over the next couple of months of, do we allocate certain funding to each community? We have the ability to really tailor our customer programs to our individual communities. And so that is something that we're going to be looking for input from your community, but also the city over the next couple of months of what programs would fit Claremont best and how we can start thinking about allocating for that. And maybe one of the answers is we don't want programs, we just want to lower rates for everyone, right? Like that's part of the conversation as well. So there's a lot of ways to benefit customers, and lowering rates is one option. Offering incentives is another option. Investing in a local project is another. So it's definitely going to be an interesting conversation. DeCaskill participated already in some stakeholder interviews to kind of share the voice for Claremont. So we hope you keep doing that. Okay. So the very last thing I wanted to mention is that on the business side, a lot of the stuff I just talked about was more geared towards residents, but I'm sorry, did you have a question on the local programs? Or
On the business.
Oh, okay, great.
So I'll finish.
Okay, so the last thing I wanted to mention is we just rolled out a Green Leader program. So businesses who voluntarily opt up to the 100% green power option have the ability to be recognized by Clean Power Alliance through this Green Leader program we just launched. It's modeled somewhat off the California Green Business Initiative, and If your business decides, or a business that you know decides to opt up, we'll give them recognition on our website, add them to a directory, provide them with these super cool decals that go in the window, and just partner with them on a lot of promotional marketing and advertising opportunities. And we just launched this program a few weeks ago. We've already had about 7 businesses sign up. And so as that grows, those businesses will kind of be put into this network with the ability to share information, participate in some events and networking opportunities. So we're excited about that. Feel free to share it amongst the community. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions about Clean Power Alliance.
2 questions about the business relationship. In our community, we have individual accounts that are residential, but the overall community has its commercial account. Is that at the same median of the 3 prices by default in Claremont?
Do you mean like the pricing?
The clean program, not the lean or the...
Yeah, so the same. So in Claremont, just as residents were opted in at the clean power option, businesses were also opted in at the clean power option. And all same as you as a homeowner or a residential customer, if you stay at clean, you should be paying the same as what you would pay to Edison. The same is true for businesses. We did have in the last month a rate setting challenge caused by a lot of the SCE rate changes that we've experienced over the last 6 months that resulted in 1% of our commercial customers, this doesn't impact residents, are experiencing a higher rate at any of Clean Power Alliance's options than the other commercial customers. So, but this would not impact a small business. It only impacts our larger industrial, really high, heavy energy users. And again, that rate increase only impacted about 1% of our customers.
And we have a $1.7 million investment in solar energy. Is there a comparative distinction you can make between working with SCE with solar or working with Clean Power Alliance with solar in terms of the way in which if we have more energy than we need, we can take advantage of that?
Good question. Do you mean you as a customer or the community investment?
I mean the commercial account. We have, the commercial account is bringing online solar power. And my question is, can you compare the advantages of being with Clean Power or with SCE as far as that relationship of utilizing solar energy and maybe having excess energy either to give credits or whatever into the grid?
Yeah, sure. So just as I kind of explained it for the residential, the home solar situation, if you stay enrolled in Clean Power Alliance, you will kind of have your accounting of your credits, your net energy metering credits and usage done on a monthly basis as you go through the year. And then at the end of the year, if you over-generate, with Clean Power Alliance, we actually pay a 10% higher surplus compensation to the customer if you over-generate and earn credits enough to get a compensation at the end of the year. So the process is similar to how it worked with Edison, except for that the accounting is done on a monthly basis. But at the end of the year, we pay a slightly better rate, basically, if you have surplus energy.
Is that explained in this document?
Not in that document, but it is on our website, and I can send the link.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, it might be in that document, actually. Yeah. Yes, sir.
I have a couple of questions. One is, there's no difference in the electricity you get, whether it's lean, clean, or green. You get the same electricity. I know at the end of the year, we usually get money back from Edison because of our solar generation.
Yeah.
So there's no change. Now, I guess the change is encouragement of people to, you have right there in front of you this idea of clean, green, and the forces may be such that people would like to go for the green. And the other question is, isn't Edison competing with you in some way? I don't see competition any obvious competition? They haven't come back and said, we'll offer you, you know, a slightly greater rate for your clean power. We'll charge you less. Why not?
Both great questions. So the first question, which we get asked a lot, like how do I know my electrons are the green ones, right? So that's it. It's a really, like people have a really, it's a really good question because you're absolutely correct. All of the energy that is purchased in California, regardless of who is buying it, goes onto the grid, you know, the grid system that delivers energy to all residents. So yes, the renewable energy that we procure is added to that grid and it's all mixed up. So you as a customer, a mix of energy flows into your home through your power lines. And there's no way to actually control, say that, you know, your energy is specifically coming from the solar project. But because we have such a big customer base, we are actually very responsive to customers' choices. So if customers, or the city, for example, all of these cities that defaulted their residents and businesses in at higher renewables, sent a pretty immediate signal to us that we had to go out and not just buy existing renewable energy, but also start investing in new. And so because of those customer choices, we've been able to achieve a higher renewable mix 11 years ahead of the state mandate. So there is, you know, what we tell customers is you are making a difference by opting up or by staying in your default. It does send us a signal, and it is greening the grid, so to speak. It's adding more renewable to the state's electricity system that otherwise would have been dirtier power that was put on the grid. So, you know, you can't tag it in that way, but it is contributing. And then to your second question, which I'm having trouble remembering at the moment.
It's competition.
Yes, competition. So great question. So it's very also counterintuitive for a public agency, a collection of cities, to be adding competition to the marketplace. You're used to government kind of doing the reverse and regulating competition. But we are adding that competitiveness at the energy supply. So because we're a new, nimble, lean organization, we were able to go out and buy renewable power at prices that were much better to our customers than Edison could offer. That's why even our 50% renewable option is the same amount as Edison's base level of renewables. So, and there's a bunch of different reasons for that. One, we're just a very lean organization. We have almost no overhead compared to Edison, who's a giant organization. Secondly, we're coming onto the power market now in 2019 when renewable prices are much, much lower than when Edison entered into a lot of contracts 10, 15 years ago. So that really helped the price. But then I was going to say, sorry, I'm like talking too fast. You're absolutely right in that Edison has kind of responded to that competition. And when Clean Power Alliance first launched, our lean power option, which I mentioned was 36% renewable. So when we first launched Clean Power Alliance service, even a couple months ago to residents in February and last year when we developed these rate options, we were saying lean power is 36% renewable, but 2% cheaper than Edison. At the time, Edison's base level was 34%. They just came out with a new power content label, that's kind of the chart of how renewable, and they've bumped up their base to 36% renewable. So they are responding to this competition, and they're greening their bottom level of renewables as well. Now, there is a state mandate for all of us to become increasingly greener, but because of Clean Power Alliance, they are responding to that competition. They've also are looking to bring the cost down of their 50% and 100% renewable options. So I think you will see over time Edison start to respond and meet some of those prices. Now, Clean Power Alliance has a mandate by our board that we're always going to be competitive and offer competitive prices. So I don't think you'll see us all of a sudden being way more expensive than Edison. I don't think our board would let us do that. But it's a good question. Yeah.
If individuals opt for the 100% green, do they get stickers too to put in their windows?
I'd be happy to give you a sticker, yes. The online program is really designed more towards businesses, but yeah, we're happy to do that.
I want more competition.
Great, yeah, let me know and maybe I'll send some stickers that you guys can distribute, yeah.
In the last 12 years, our unit water cost has risen on an average of 12% per year. Do you have projections going forward of the energy costs for the next 5 years, let's say? I mean, as we look forward, what might we be expecting in terms of increased unit costs?
That's a great question. It's something that the sort of power procurement and the modeling side of Clean Power Alliance works on a daily basis. Energy market pricing is very up and down. I mean, as we've seen historically, Edison's rates have gone up. And in fact, Edison raised rates just recently about a couple percent. And so we've definitely seen a trajectory of prices going up. However, one of the reasons Clean Power Alliance is starting to invest in these long-term contracts is to contribute to some more stability for our customers. So our intention is not to have these huge leaps in price each year. So part of what we do in our energy price projections is think about how many contracts we're going to be able to lock in at long-term pricing that's competitive versus what we're going to have to buy on the short-term market. So my answer is yes, we do look at that. I'm not the one at the office who does that, so I don't have the exact answer for you, but I can get a little bit more information on kind of what they're showing. Yeah.
So as the CPA expands and looks to source new, clean, green power, how does it source that? Does it just take into account like what you get your bang for buck, or does it look at other things like social equity costs, other benefits outside of just pricing?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. We do look at other components. So in this request for offers, we're looking at, price is a big one. We want to remain competitive and try to minimize the increasing costs of energy over the long term to our customers. But again, because we're comprised of local elected officials on our board, our rate setting authority, they are very in tune to the issues impacting communities. And so this bullet lists all of the criteria that we evaluate our long-term contracts against. So environmental stewardship, are these projects in environmentally sensitive areas? Are they already, for the hydro project I mentioned, for example, that dam was already built and it's a small hydro project, so it's less obstructive to the environment. So that was a really attractive opportunity for us because it wasn't building a whole new dam, but we could take advantage of an existing dam. Location, we are, to the extent possible, trying to build these new developments here in our service territory, so in Los Angeles County and in Ventura County. One of the things we want to invest more in the future is battery storage, and there's a lot of areas in Ventura County and parts of LA County that are really good candidates for that because it's a smaller footprint. It doesn't take up a huge array, like a solar array of land. So there's a lot of partnership opportunities as well with our member agencies to add some of this renewable development on city facilities or city-owned land. And then workforce development is also a really big criteria that our board has emphasized. So we're trying to, during the negotiation process, pick renewable developments that have project labor agreements or a lot of union jobs that are created or local jobs that are created. So that definitely all weighs into it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You know the drill.
I was wondering if other communities are beginning to consider joining you. As I recall, it was 31 earlier, and it's still 31.
Yes.
Is this catching on?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we are adding one new city, the city of Westlake Village, in 2020. But yeah, I think we will definitely start. A lot of cities sort of took the wait and see how this works route, which, when we're fully launched, we're fully operational. We've had overall, I think, about a 6% or 5% opt-out rate, which is very low compared to a lot of CCAs, and just low in general. 95% of customers have stayed with us. So I think we will start to see a lot more customers, or a lot more cities want to join Clean Power Alliance in 2020. And actually here in the San Gabriel Valley is an area I think there's a lot of opportunity for growth. We have, outside of Claremont, we have South Pasadena, Sierra Madre, Arcadia, Temple City. But just I think in this kind of whole inland eastern part of the county, we'll see a lot of jurisdictions express some more interest in joining. So.
While I've got the microphone, I have another question. I was wondering if you contemplate giving some sort of advantage to individuals that may want to put solar panels on their houses, that sort of thing, stimulate local clean energy generation.
Yeah, that is absolutely going to be a consideration in this kind of local programs process. So we're looking at how you can kind of take advantage of the customers who have already made that investment in renewable energy rather than always having to rely on big new projects. So that, what they call in the biz distributed energy generation, I think, is something we're absolutely looking at and want to be a piece of our portfolio and a piece of the picture.
You may know that Claremont Pomona Locally Grown Power has just received a $2.1 million grant to build a factory and create a nonprofit corporation that produces these panels and distributes them to lower income houses. Do you see possibly a mechanism to make subsidies available for others that are not in this low income category to take advantage of that sort of thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, again, the beauty of the city being a member of Clean Power Alliance is that it's really easy for us to have those conversations versus you trying to sort of perhaps set up a scenario with an investor-owned utility. And so I think that's definitely something we'd want to hear more about and look into how that would work and see what other CCAs have done. CCAs can get pretty creative with how they incentivize distributed energy and those types of things.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Could I ask you, this is, you went by a slide, I think that's a very important one, and I didn't memorize it. I should have taken a photo of it, I think. But it's a little awkward, I can see, for you to get back to it.
It's okay, I think I can hit the keyboard right here. Oh yeah, that's easier.
So it was the one with, where you were showing the percentage and the number of people in a community who actually had opted up to 100% renewable. Yes.
Yeah.
So I think I've discovered now that 2 of the 40 are sitting here in this room.
I bet.
But I'm a little surprised, but evidently, even though we're small in number, although we're 0.3%, but then there's the CPA, this is the total average here. So it's let's say 0.15 to 0.2 or so percent. So I guess we're a little above.
You're above average, yeah.
The average. But evidently we have had, some impact on the total amount, on the average percentage renewable. So I guess we're having some effect. But I'm just thinking that maybe as we reach a more stable, sort of steady state situation, people will become a little more, in fact, maybe that's our mission at Sustainable Claremont, to encourage people to opt up.
Yeah, that's a great observation. I think you're right. I think a lot of people were just very, very concerned early on, which is understanding what this was, what the change or no changes, what their impact was going to be on their bill, how this just kind of functionally worked. And so I think that change in of itself took a lot of time for people to adjust to. But once you're in Clean Power Alliance, you stay enrolled in our service unless you make a decision to opt out ever in the future. And so customers will always have the ability to opt up. You can do that at any time, as many times as you want, if you're someone who's really decisive and wants to try them all out. So it's something that, I've seen a couple other cities do sort of like an opt-up campaign, and that's something we'd be absolutely happy to work with you on if you were interested. I think one of you was saying, can residents get the green power stickers? Once people start to recognize our brand, and maybe you see a business here in the community that does opt up, and then they see that sticker and it sparks a conversation. So I think you will see that number grow over time, and there's lots of ways we can help get the word out about the 100% green option.
If you opt up, do you receive an email or something that confirms
Yes.
the change of your status?
Yes, you receive an email confirmation. The customer agent can give you the confirmation code over the phone, or if you are someone who doesn't use email or a computer, you can also request to have that confirmation mailed to you. Which we
Yeah,
do
I've found the online system hard to use, to be very honest.
on our website.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I tried to opt up, and I don't recall receiving any confirmation.
Yeah, if you want to give me your name afterwards, I can check that for you. And
Well,
a
I don't
lot
want
of
to trouble you for that, but I just want to know, is the system working?
Yeah,
that
it
provides
does work.
confirmation?
A friendly tip, when you put in your customer account number, don't include the dashes. And then, yeah, so I don't know, that causes a lot of drama. But honestly, like a really easy way to do it is just to call this service number. They're actually there until 8 p.m. Monday through Friday, so, which is just now 8
are
o'clock.
there
So if you want to
are
call
there
right this moment, you could. But
Are there automatic filters on that number?
there is like a auto recording that picks up, and you can actually opt up via the recording by just pressing buttons on the phone. But if you press 0 or whatever the option is to get to a real person, they can process that opt up for you as well.
When you do a survey, you should ask people to compare their calls to SCE with their calls to you, because it's terrible to call SCE, frankly speaking.
I'm sorry to hear that. We
No,
do
SCE.
try, I know, yeah, we try really hard. We have a customer service center with 60 agents, and we try to impress upon them good customer service. And if you ever hear any issues, again, that's a really benefit of Clean Power Alliance. You can please just call me and I'll handle it, or investigate it, or report it to our you can call up the CEO pretty easily at Clean Power Alliance. You can't do that at Edison.
In fact, do you know how many employees CPA has?
We have 15.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, my full disclosure, my significant other works for Southern California Edison, and we often have arguments. Or he's like, I'll come home after a long day. He'll be like, the department at Edison has 50 people doing what you're doing today. I was like, dang. But of course, it's a different scale. So apples to oranges.
Nonetheless, you're probably far more efficient. This is not a question, it's just an observation, but I notice overall from Clean Power, the opt-out rate is 2.41, and for us, it's 6.19.
Yeah, it's really interesting, these numbers. I was actually very surprised that the average for Clean Power was lower than the average for lean. You would think most people who were at the lean power, which is the money saving option, would stay in. Part of that is a function of where these jurisdictions fall. So across LA County, we've had only about a 2.3% opt-out. In Ventura County, our opt-out rates have been much higher. And a lot of the cities in Ventura County are on that lean power, which is why that rate has a higher spike. And there's been a lot of reasons for that. In Ventura County, there's 8 of the 12 cities in Ventura County are participating, so there was just a lot more kind of awareness and commotion about Clean Power Alliance when we launched, whereas here in LA County, it's very spread out, the jurisdiction, so there was not a lot of attention in some areas. And then I think, in Claremont, you're more inland, and so customers have higher bills, so they might be a little bit more sensitive to fluctuations in your utility bill versus someone who lives in one of our coastal communities whose bill's very, very low if they don't use their AC at all. So I think that's part of the reason. But you'll notice that just as you have higher opt-out, you also have higher engagements. You have more customers choosing our other choices. So it kind of comes with higher opt-outs, also just comes more customers who are paying attention. So you guys are doing a good job getting the word out. And we, just so you know, we budgeted for about a 10% opt-out. So you're still like about half of our expectation.
I'm embarrassed to say I don't know the answer to this question I'm going to ask you. I wonder if hydropower and nuclear energy are included in your clean sources. You know, California is potentially adopting 100% carbon-free energy by, I think it's 2045, but that includes hydro and nuclear, and they have lower green goals, which don't include those.
Yeah, well, if you look at this handy flyer that we sent you in the mail, I think it says it on here. So it does. So this is another piece of mail that we've just sent out to all customers. It's called, it's a rate comparison. So it gives you the rates for an average residential customer, see Clean Power Alliance's rates and Southern California Edison's rates. You can see them right there together. Again, this is for an average customer. Each customer is unique. But the other side of this flyer that just came in the mail is our electric power mix. So you can see that in our renewable power, we have a lot of solar, a lot of wind, and this what came in the mail is for last year's portfolio, so actually all we had was solar and wind last year. And then of our non-renewable sources, we had a lot of large hydro. Large hydro doesn't count in California as a renewable, even though it is low GHG emitting. So for Clean Power Alliance, we try to not buy, and we don't buy any coal or nuclear, and actually last year we didn't even buy any natural gas. The only source of non-renewable was large hydro. This year we have a little bit more solar, wind, we have some small hydro, perhaps even a little geothermal, and then you'll see a little bit of natural gas and large hydro again, but no nuclear or coal. You have the answer right here in front of you.
I said I'm embarrassed.
It's okay, don't worry. I'm shocked that you even saw that in the mail enough to bring it in. Any other questions? Yeah, well, I'm always happy to make a trip back out to Claremont. I have a bag full of some crust cookies in my purse, so that alone was worth the trip. We're really excited to be partnering with the community, and again, one of the great benefits is that we have a team that can come out and talk with you anytime you'd like, and hopefully get the word out more to residents and businesses as Clean Power Alliance grows. We're through this enrollment period, which was definitely the most tumultuous time for any CCA, but now that we have this customer base, there's a lot of engagement opportunities we have with our customers, so we're excited.
Well, Jennifer, I want to thank you very much for coming out here and doing this for us. You've answered a lot of good questions, I think, and we really appreciate it. Thank you.